Yo, what's up, and welcome to episode 50 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and joining me as always is Woody V. Woods, how's it going, my man?
Hey man, is it 50 episodes already? It's been a pleasure working with you over this last year and a half, so glad to make it to 50, bro.
Right back at you, man. So look, just a reminder for everyone where to find us. Please make sure you watch our videos on YouTube, and if you're listening to the audio, they're available where all podcasts are found. All right, so for our 50th episode of the show, we've got a very special guest today. This man was born in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where he began playing basketball at age 4. He played his high school ball in Virginia before having a 4-year career in college, playing with the Wichita State Shockers. After graduating college with a degree in sports management, he went on to play professionally with stints in Russia, Italy, Turkey, and France, before signing in June of this year as the second import with the Tasmania Jackjumpers. He's a player we've really enjoyed watching so far this season, and it is a big welcome to Rashard Kelly.
Hey, appreciate y'all for having me, fellas.
That's an absolute honour. No, I appreciate you joining us. I know it's like an off week for you guys with the FIBA window coming up. So I know you mentioned before today was the last off day and back on the court tomorrow. So we appreciate you taking some time out of your day there. So, all right. So we normally sort of talk about our jerseys we showcase on the show. I might ask you first, Rashard. I see you rocking that nice NBA champs Chicago Bulls shirt there. So tell me a bit about that. Are you a Bulls fan?
Yeah, I got a little throwback jersey on with the Bulls for the day, representing Mike a little bit. Everybody idolizes Mike. So when you guys asked me to jump on the show, I had to grab something.
Appreciate that. No, certainly a great team back in those early 90s there. And I might as well ask you that one. So LeBron or MJ there, Rashard? Who's the GOAT for you?
I'm taking LeBron, but Kobe's still my GOAT though.
Okay,
I'm taking LeBron, but Kobe's still my GOAT.
Rest in peace to the great man. Good answer. All right. Well, Woods, why don't you take us away? So I should say, actually, Rashard, so something we love to do in our show is to showcase our jersey collection. So we thought it would be fitting today we'd show jerseys of 2 former Wichita State players. One's a former player who's graduated a long time before you were born, actually, and the other a current NBA star and NBA champ who you played a couple of seasons with. So Woody, why don't you take it away and show us who you're wearing today?
Sure thing, man.
All right, so Woody's wearing the very old school New York Knicks number 32 X-Man Xavier McDaniel jersey. I like that one, Woods. You didn't shave off your eyebrows in respect of the X-Man or anything there, did you?
No, but he's an absolute legend, right? So as you mentioned, former Wichita State alumni. And, he had a very successful 4-year college career where he was a consensus first-team All-American in 1985. He was the NCAA season scoring leader in 85, 2-time NCAA rebounding leader in 83 and 85, and his 34 is retired by the Wichita State Shockers before he was drafted with the 4th pick in the 1985 NBA draft, where he played with Seattle, and then moved on to Phoenix for a little while, New York, Boston, and the New Jersey Nets. He was known as like a very physical player. He gave it to Scottie Pippen. He fitted in really well in that Pat Riley system in New York, and actually only had the 1 season in New York. So it's a pretty rare jersey to have in honor of Rashard being on the show. I thought the man's jersey's retired at his home college. So what do you know about Xavier McDaniel, Rashard?
That's actually my guy. So I haven't followed him, or nothing until I got to Wichita, and him, Cheese Johnson, Cliff Livingston. Yep. I'm telling you, you would think I would have went to school with them as much as we get together and hang out in the summer. So that's my guy. So shout out to X, man.
Shout out to X, yeah.
Woody and I are big Atlanta Hawks fans there, Rashard. So we know Cliff Livingston and Antoine Carr both played at Wichita State as well, too. Guys that we like watching back in the day. So very good.
Yeah, I was about to say, shout out to the big dog, too, Antoine Carr, man. Shout out to the big dog.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Well, look, so today I'm just sort of hanging one over my shoulder just in honor of the Jackjumpers there. So I've got the Josh Magette, the Looney Tunes jersey from last year. I'm not sure if you know that they did those ones, Rashard, but each team sort of rocked a Looney Tunes character. So obviously it had to be Taz for the Jackjumpers there. So I've worn that one on the show, so I won't tell a bit of a story about Josh Magette, but I'll just stand up and show you the one that I'm wearing today. Pretty cool jersey, and a man that Rashard knows very well.
So for all our audience that can't see, Robbie's wearing
Right.
one of Rashad's teammates, Fred VanVleet, undrafted All-Star, right? So respect to Freddie V, yeah?
Absolutely. So, look, a little bit about Fred VanVleet there. So, look, he really has turned into a star after going undrafted in the 2006 draft year. As I said, out of Wichita State. He got signed by the Raptors and has been with the team for 6 seasons. Current accolades are NBA champ in 2019, an NBA All-Star last year, and probably this one's maybe the most impressive. He holds the record for not only the most points in a game for the Raptors, but also for any undrafted player that's ever played in the NBA. When he scored 54 points in 2021. So, yeah, that's a little bit on Fred VanVleet. So, yeah, Rashard, we've got to ask you about him. I think you played your first 2 years in college with him, right?
Yeah, hey, shout out to Fred, man. Bet on yourself at all times. Shout out to Fred, one of the hardest workers you know. Great point guard, great guy, and definitely a true leader. So shout out to Fred. Everything he's done and accomplished, he definitely deserved it.
Could you see that he was going to develop into that star when you were playing with him or not? I mean, I know I think second year he started full time, but he didn't have huge numbers at those times. What did you sort of think his prospects would be at that time?
Yo, so Fred was like always underrated, but I mean, things he's doing is no surprise to us. It's just to see him doing it on that level. Like, I mean, he's always able to manage a game and control a game. He can shoot the ball at all times. So, and then just to see how he transformed because he's not athletic. He's not playing above the rim. So seeing how he's finishing in the paint with these bigs and, like he was a key shooter for them when they made that championship run.
Yep.
So just seeing everything translate from college to the NBA, it really just gave a lot of us hope back at Wichita State. Like the program we had, the quality of players, and that just group and the quality of basketball we was playing. It's like, all right, keep going.
Awesome. And have you kept in touch with Fred over the years?
Yeah, we thought like the guys link up a lot over the summer, but also throughout the season, we pushing for each other.
That's great to hear. All right, no, I really appreciate that. So, yeah, as I said, we thought we'd show off a few of the Wichita State guys today. So, all right, so we might get into it there, Rashard. We've got a lot of things we want to sort of go over with you this year. As I said, Woody and I have really enjoyed watching your game this year and sort of want to find out a little bit about, the history and everything of yourself with basketball. So I might start off what it was like for you growing up in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Who were your early influences in getting you into basketball as a kid?
My early influences, I'm going to have to say, besides my mother, her husband, he came into my life and was just like a basketball coach ever since then, and so like watching the game though, I was a big Allen Iverson type of guy, like Allen Iverson, then Kobe, like I mentioned earlier. And so those are my like big like lookups to so when I'm going outside playing against the older kids, like I'm trying to hit them with a killer crossover, a long cross. Like I'm playing with a little swag to me at a young age because I'm following AI.
No, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about like Fredericksburg, Virginia as well. I was saying to Woody before, I read that Virginia is the only state, with the biggest state without any professional sports teams there. So what is that like? What was that like as a place to grow up in?
Well, the closest thing we got is like the Wizards in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but the area, like, it's considered the DMV. So you got the District of Maryland, Virginia, District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia. That's like the northern part of Virginia. Then you got the middle of Virginia, which is like central Virginia. You got a lot of players that come out like the Richmond area. And then you go to the southern part of Virginia, which is by the beach, like the Norfolk, Hampton Roads, and you got a bunch of talent come out of there. So it's athletes all throughout the state. And like growing up, we always competed with like Boo Williams, U-Turn, we'll play at VCU. And like you just follow each other. And really when you see a guy from Virginia make it, we kind of get behind each other, support each other. And like we have a lot of success coming from our area.
That's great. And what about, did you play any other sports growing up? Did you, get into baseball or football or anything like that? Or was it all about the basketball?
I played both. I played baseball and football.
Yeah.
I played football until I was about like 14. And I kind of made a decision, like if I wanted to go stick with football or I wanted to go play basketball. I probably could have had a hell of a career in football too. I was a great football player, but
Wide receiver or tight end, one of those? Or?
Yeah, tight end, defensive end, and receiver. Yep. So, and our coach was getting ready to send me over to a UVA football camp, and it was right before we was getting ready to take our basketball trip for the summer, and that's kind of when I made my decision to just go with basketball.
Yeah, right. So you made the decision to go with basketball. So let me take you back, Rashard, to 2014 when you were initially recruited to play with Wichita State. Can you talk to us a little bit about that recruitment process? And also, there must have been some other colleges that you considered along the way.
Yeah, so that whole recruitment process, I mean, shout out to the Wichita State. Shout out to Coach Marshall. How he got me is when we went inside his office and he showed me I'm talking about like a trophy case, big old trophy case, stretched out across the room with all these trophies and rings he done won from Winthrop and the stuff he done accomplished when he was at Wichita State. And so my parents, they want me to have a successful college career. They want me to be taught how to be a great man. So they helped me make that decision. But it came down between Wichita State, Xavier, and George Washington was the three schools I came down to, and I'm going to Shockers.
And I believe it's quite a distance from Virginia, right? Wichita State. It's like 1,000 miles away or something like that. Is that right? Or?
18 hours. I went to get I went to get in my truck to drive home after my senior year with all my stuff packed in there. I got on the road and it was like, yo, you got 1,393 miles left. It's at 18 hours. I just turned around, just found a way to find me a plane ticket.
Yeah, geez, 18 hours is a bit long to go on the road, isn't it?
But, getting that responsibility and being away from family and learning to do things by yourself, it makes you grow up as well, right? So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We had such a tight group. All of us was trying to become men, and that's another place we had to check our egos. It was a lot of talent in there. And of course, not everybody was satisfied as you look back on it, but we had to go to war for each other. So shout out to the boys that I went to college with, because great guys, and the experience we had together was life-changing.
Well, let's talk about some of those guys, right? I mean, we talked about Fred Vanvleet a bit earlier, but I know you also teamed up with Landry Shamet and Austin Reeves. I mean, what was it like playing with those guys? They've obviously gone on to bigger and better things and forged careers for themselves in the NBA. Maybe you can speak on them a little bit.
So those are my young guys. So I'm Landry's college recruitment host.
Yep.
So he's quiet, very respectful guy. But, when he first get there, he don't have the swag like he got now. I'm going to be honest,
You helped him with that, right?
I had to. So, all of them just worked hard, though. Austin Reeves, he's from Arkansas. Yeah. He comes in as like a nobody knows him type recruit. It was just like a diamond in the rough type thing. Comes in skinny little kid. Arms, you can't even screen him too hard because his arms is fragile. They might break in practice. But he's one of the coolest kids you can play with. Great guy. We call him AR-15 back in college. Now they call him Hillbilly Kobe or something like that. So, he upgraded his name or whatever. But, all of them worked great. Great workers, shot the piss out the ball.
Yep.
And shout out to the squad, because we definitely helped, we helped set some screens for them, got them the ball in the right situation. And but just to see them have success is great.
I think you played with Ron Baker as well, is that right?
Yeah, so Ron, on my first year, I was blessed to have a locker besides Ron and Evan Wessel, and I was stuck between both of them, and they just, showed me the blueprint, working hard. Ron was a workhorse, They loved him. He had the golden boy curls. He used to run around campus with no shirt on, and all the girls go crazy. Teachers going crazy over him. The whole city's going crazy over him. And he done his thing. And, he played with the Knicks, played with the Wizards, then went to Russia before, had a hip injury. Now he's like a director of a hospital in Wichita.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that he retired. I didn't realize that then. Okay.
He's written some kids' books as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah?
Yeah, he does. He does have that. So shout out to Ronnie B.
Definitely. Well, I want to talk about a little bit more about those 4 seasons with the Shockers there, Rashard. So you played in the NCAA tournament each year, and I think you made the Sweet 16 in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. What were those teams like to play with those years? And also, secondly, what sort of influence did Coach Greg Marshall have on your career there?
Play with them teams just like, just being like every day, you know what I'm saying? Every day, our standard had to be high for ourselves. And we kind of had like the biggest thing we did in Wichita is we won games on the road. Like our fans was fun to play in front of, but like our test was always our road games because it was just us, and every team we played was sell out. Like it was always a sellout because we started in a smaller conference in the Missouri Valley, and so you had the Loyolas, Indiana State, Illinois State, stuff like that. So he just taught us how to win on the road and really like stop giving ourselves excuses, like not being I should have or I could have, and like really do what we're supposed to do. And he wasn't easy on us, but he just the consistency he had upon us made us like stronger men and ultimately better basketball players.
And some of those lessons that obviously you learn from him, you can see that in your game today. You're a hard worker and you're committed to things. And obviously that those times he was hard on you have paid off in the long run. So that's great, right?
Definitely. Yeah, I haven't had a coach like him because he had some energy behind him. I had a guy last year in France. He could probably give Greg a run for his money, but I still think Greg got it.
Well, that's a pretty good segue. Let's talk about after you finished off college and you went overseas, right? You played in a variety of different countries, Russia, Italy, Turkey, and France, as you just mentioned. So which one of those places did you enjoy the most? And how did you find that European game? Obviously, the NBL is a little bit different, more like a bit like the NBA and the way the game's played over there. How was that experience in Europe?
You really learn the game. You learn how to use mismatches and players' weaknesses. It's at a point it's harder, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if you have the right mindset and like the right like crew or willingness to behind you, you can make the game a lot easier, So that's one thing I appreciate about Europe. So my favorite 2 years was my year in Turkey and my year in France. It's just because I learned a lot, not just ran up and down, kind of using our speed and athleticism. Like I'm really learning how to break the game down and slow it down to get to certain points and to like, all right, the team's doing this, what's our options? And how to move quick, to react quick and don't have to wait to figure it out. So just learning was the best part for me, was just learning the game.
How did you go with the language barriers in those countries there? Any sort of difficult sort of times with any of those 4 teams?
Hey, Google Translate. That's your bag. Google Translate, and then usually like all the teammates would speak somewhat English, and the management would speak more so English. So your initial core group of people you're dealing with on the daily, you can kind of speak English with, but it's like once you get outside that basketball area, that's when the languages start changing.
With those teams, were there other Americans on all of those teams you played there, or?
Yeah, so we usually have a couple imports. Most of them be Americans, and then you'll have some either Spanish or Bosnian guys filtered in the group as well.
Oh, nice. Well, something I wanted to ask you about, I read that when you were playing in Italy there, it was in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and it was a tough decision to sort of leave that country at the time. Talk us through what happened there.
Yeah, so they tell us COVID's coming. Italy is one of the hardest places that was hit by COVID, but it's in Italian, so we don't understand the severity of it. And my Italian teammates like, yo, get ready to pack your stuff and don't even think about coming back to Italy. Like, it's bad. And I'm like, nah, I never heard of nothing like that. Like, I'm young, I'm hungry. We got Euro Cup going. We moving up in the slots for playoffs. Like, I'm trying to prove myself because, I'm seeing like the levels of European basketball that I'm trying to get to. Like, I think I'm going close to EuroLeague next year because I'm killing, what I'm saying? Like, everything's starting to fall in place. Boom, COVID comes to shut down. And like, I didn't want to leave because, I just had a kid. I'm trying to, like I said, prove myself. And like, I'm trying to keep this show going on the road, but we was walking outside. You try to go to the grocery store. It's police cars following you step by step. Like line is dead out there. Like nobody's moving. Um, and so like our first group of my teammates left. Like they left instantly. And I'm like, I'm gonna just stay here for a couple weeks, because they stay in 2 weeks. They'll bring everybody back. 3 days later, it's like, yeah, the embassy said if you don't leave, you'll probably be here until June, July. I just next day took myself to the airport and got up out of there.
Didn't leave you with much of a choice, did it, when it got that bad?
Yeah.
And obviously your first professional gigs were in Europe. So a lot of players say what they like about coming to Australia, Rashard, is that it's English speaking and the lifestyle is great, right? So in June, when you signed to come and play with the Jackjumpers, what did you actually know about Australia, or down under, as you guys say, right? Before coming here, right?
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I brought a bunch of shirts like this to Tasmania. It's cold as a mug out here.
I hear you, man.
Cold.
Yeah.
But I knew, the weather was nice. I didn't know the culture and the lifestyle was this good. Like it's pretty good down here. You know what I'm saying? And I just knew the league was growing, and I liked the style of the league. Like I was following it, and kept telling myself I wanted to get down there and play. And now I'm glad I'm down here.
So
Absolutely. I mean, look, Rashard, Woody and I have been following MDL since probably the mid '80s, I guess, and it's these last few years it's just continued to grow and grow.
We're not that old, are we?
Well, I am. I'm older than you, but but no, it's obviously it really has improved with the league. And look, we were talking off air before as well. Before you came on, that there used to be a team in Hobart, and it was a real shame to see them exit the league. So I think any basketball fan in general has been really pleased to see the Jackjumpers come back in. Did you know what a Jackjumper was, by the way?
I did not.
Neither did we, so don't worry about that. Yeah. No, nice. Well, interested as well to know if you'd sort of played with or against any of the guys in the league, either in the past, or if you had any previous relationships with any coaches or players out here.
All right, so my teammate Milton Doyle, we beat up on him in college all the time. He went to Loyola, Chicago, so we used to beat them every year, twice a year. I played Josh Magette 2 years ago when I was in Turkey. And who else? My young guy, Justin Robinson from Illawarra, he's actually from the same area I'm from. So I know him from when he was like 5th grade, 6th grade, coming up young. Virginia Hokies, his dad was a coach. Good little squad, though. And they always came in the gym clean. Warm-ups, bags, gears, and they put that together themselves. They didn't even have no sponsors. So shout out to Virginia Hokies. And George King was my teammate in Italy. Okay. So I know a couple of the guys.
And noticed you played against Oklahoma in college as well. So bit of a two-part question. Woody and I being Hawks fans, wanted to know what it was like playing against Trae Young then. And I believe Brady Manick might have been on that team as well for Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. So, of course, Trae made Brady look good. But, man, Trae Young put on a show. I'm telling you, from the gate, he just had something about him, and he played with poise. He played the game at his pace. And he at that age, he was shooting 3-4 feet behind the three-point line. And so they had a lob threat as well, and they just had a very skilled team. And so we played them in downtown Wichita at the big arena there. It was 16, 17,000. And we got out to a strong start, but they were just hitting threes, and they just put on a show. And I mean, we walked away knowing he was good, but to see what he's doing now, it's just, shout out to him and the work he put in. But yeah, he put on a show.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you confronted Brady Manick as well at Perth recently as well. So yeah, you reunited against him there, right? So
yeah, Brady, that game versus Brady actually did pretty good. They had a nice little 1-2 punch with them two, but they had a big man who was just dunking everything. He was just throwing them lobs, and then they had consistent wings that was just like, always attacking and making right plays as well. So shout out to Oklahoma, but they came and handled business. My boy Austin Reeves went to Oklahoma after he left Wichita State, so I ain't all the way mad at Oklahoma.
For sure. And you talk about Brady Manick, he's another 4 in this league, right? The 4 spot's pretty strong in the NBL. So I thought I'd ask you, Rashard, who's been your toughest matchup so far in the NBL? And then also in your career so far, who's the toughest man that you've gone up against in your position, right?
Well, I'm gonna say the toughest matchups probably right now is the Cooks and Brantley matchup with Sydney and New Zealand.
Yep.
They both play hard and they both play defense as well. So not only that they are, something you gotta always be around and paying attention to an offensive end, is that they also try to get a stop. Some people just play one side of the ball. So with them matching up with them is just gonna be fun. It might be like a fist fight. We both might hold each other to something low, but
Yeah.
we just gonna be competing. The fourth man spot I've played so far is Moorman. He's a French guy. He played at Ephes last year.
Yep.
But I'm talking about, he just hit me with all these type of shot fakes, fake pass, like splash 3, like no dribble. And he was like, he knew, like I was a young boy and I was like 25 or something.
Yep.
So he's like 30. So he's knowing, all right, take this young boy to the post and, what I'm saying, give him hella fakes, go through his body, like, cause I'm coming at him. I'm young and hungry too. So I'm making him chase me around. So, but he knew, like, nah, give him hella fakes. He's young, work him in the post. So he was just a tough matchup for me.
And you talk about tough matchups, right? I mean, one thing I wanted to also bring up was the officiating. Now, a lot of imports, and I don't want to get you in trouble here, okay? But a lot of imports come to Australia and find it hard to adjust to the way the game's officiated in the NBL. How's the officiating here been for you compared to other places? And has it been a difficult adjustment?
All I'm gonna say is, don't let me become a marquee player in the NBL, because I'm gonna live at the free throw line.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I hear you. Loud and clear.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's cool. It's not cool, but I get it. You know what I'm saying?
How about the officiating in Europe? How does that sort of differ there? Is the game sort of called very differently, or?
It's more physical. Like, you really have to, like, earn your foul. It can't be like it looked like he got fouled, or it's just like you really have to earn your foul. Like, you see a lot of blood in Europe. One thing the guards do very well is they always get a big to foul them, like hedging too hard on the screen. Like, that's one thing the guards do very well, especially at half court. They see you hedging, they just gonna run into the screen, throw their head back. They're not even gonna wait for the referee to blow the whistle. They're gonna pick the ball up and walk towards the free throw line, because that's how automatic the call is made. So yeah, just stuff like that. But it's definitely very, very physical in Europe.
So, Rashard, talk us a little bit about Coach Scott Roth there. How have you found him so far, and what's your relationship, I guess, been with him so far since you've been with the team? Is he someone you can sort of talk openly with? Talk to us a little bit about Coach Roth there.
Yeah, Coach Roth is a great guy. He's just always trying to teach the game. He's very hungry, he's very competitive. One thing I like about him, though, he's consistent with what he preaches every day. He doesn't come in here and try to reinvent something new. He got his core principles, and he's open-minded. Like, we're able to have conversations in the team room and watching videos of what we think should work, what we shouldn't have done, or what can we look for moving forward. And he just, he helps give us all a platform to shine and show what we're capable of. So I appreciate that from him.
Did you know that he played in the NBA? Does he talk to you guys about that, or is that sort of a long time ago for him? He doesn't bring it up.
Yeah, so he recruited me a little bit last year, and he sent me like a slideshow of like all his accomplishments. So I got that in my emails of every team he played with, all his affiliates and his trips and all that.
Well, speaking of Scott Roth, he's built a really good environment for you guys, and it looks like you guys all get along really well. But I wanted to ask you, like, who are your homies on the team? So after training or, on your off day, who do you kick it with? Go for a drink or a meal with? I don't want to hear, like, we're all close, man. I want to know about a couple of guys that you really kick it with and build close bonds with since you came here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy though. A lot of, in the right culture, everybody's gonna be close.
Yeah.
But I'm with Milton, you know what I'm saying? Me, Milton, Sam, we kicking it. Then I got my boy Kenny, Sean McDonald, Jack McVeigh. We kicking it at times. Will Magnay. So those are the more sort of group of guys I'm rolling with if you see me out.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you about Jack McVeigh. You mentioned there, big fan of him myself. What do you think of his game? I mean, those one-legged shots and everything he takes are pretty amazing, right? He's got a pretty unique game, doesn't he?
Yeah, man. I joke with him all the time. Like, yo, you lucky me and you on the same team. So we joke about that all the time. But he takes his time. He's very poised, and I just enjoy watching him get his shots off that he get off because he's not the fastest athlete. He's not explosive, but he gets to his spot and he scores at a high clip.
So we talked about one McDaniel at the start of the show, right? Xavier McDaniel, right? You're talking about kicking it with Sam McDaniel, right? Did you know something? We talked about the basketball team in the 80s and 90s, okay? The Hobart Tassie Devils, they were called. Did you know Wayne McDaniel, his father, was actually a member of that old Tasmanian team? So you see the McDaniel jersey that's on the Tasmania Jackjumpers jersey now. His father, he followed that line for his father, also playing for the States. So I'm not sure if you knew that.
Yeah, I just found out his dad actually played hoops. Last, week or two, who was on the road. I just found that out. Yeah. So more information has been coming out.
Yeah,
awesome. He could really play too. That's for sure. He was a hell of a player.
I heard that's good.
Well, just sort of lastly before we finish up there, Rashard, I just wanted to sort of see, I guess, what the transition's been like for you here. You mentioned earlier that you've got a kid now. Do you sort of have any family sort of that's come to Australia yet to see you, or will they be coming out later in the season? Or?
Yeah, my son's actually here now, visiting for a couple of weeks and for the holidays. So nice. It allows me to, in my free time, get back to being a dad, what I really love. And it's fun, having to, balance that work dad life at the moment, just not be all basketball. It's growing, it's growing me as a man, growing me as a player, just every day, every day I'm working on my game, even if it's not on the court, physically I'm working. So I'm just working around the clock and just enjoying the grind.
Great to hear. Well, look, Rashard, we've really enjoyed your time today, so we might sort of get to the outro. Actually, before we do that, one question. I know we ask all the imports, all the imports get asked this. What you didn't want me to ask it, but have you tried Vegemite yet?
So I heard about Vegemite my first day here.
Yep.
And I was warned, so I appreciate that. They told me don't even go buy it. Don't even try it with no toast or anything. Just leave it alone. So. No. Fair
enough. You've given it no. Good answer. All right. Well, look, we're just going to get into a bit of an outro now. So just before we get into that, and Woody, I told you I'd do this, mate. So with it being our 50th episode, just wanted to give a bit of a shout out to the guests we've had on so far. So I won't go on too long about this, but just wanted to give a big shout out to Lala Wiji Sakra, Coach Hesh, Jaden Oakley, Joseph Kaur, Boddy Nodge, Liam Santa Maria, Michelle Timms, Andrew Gaze, Andrew Canyon, Jacob Jacomas, Nathan Stew from the Sports Blokes, Matt Clayton, Brad Rosen, Big Prabs, Jacinta Govind, Jackson McDonald, Matt McQuaid, Terry TJ Johnson, AJ Ogilvie, Kane Pittman, and of course, our current guest, Rashard Kelly. So big shout out to all the people that have sort of helped make this show what it is. So Look, as I mentioned at the start of the show there, just a reminder where you can find us. So now our videos are on YouTube each week. You can check out our Twitter page there, which is Throwback Hoops. Instagram is throwback.hoops. And of course, we've got an email address there if you want to send any feedback, jersey requests, anything like that. And that is throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Woods, why don't you give your shout outs there before we finish with Rashard?
Yeah, finally, Patreon. Thanks for all your support. If you want to, pledge your love to the episode, jump on there and support us. We appreciate it. TikTok, Woody_V83. I showcase all the jerseys we have on the show. So thanks for your ongoing support, everyone.
Thanks for that, Woods. And Rashard, we might throw it to you, mate. We know you're fairly active there on Twitter. Why don't you let the audience know your handle and sort of where they can find you on there?
Yeah, shout out to the audience and shout out to you guys for having me today. Congrats on your 50th episode, though. Way to be consistent with it. You can follow me on Twitter at your boy, Twitter at Wiz Kelly with 2 Y's. And you can follow me on Instagram at Rashard Kelly _. So shout me out, come, chat it up,
No, that's awesome, mate. And look, as we said, we know you haven't been to Sydney yet. So when you guys come and play the Kings, we'll definitely come down and try and say hi at the game. And I must warn you, Woody's a Kings fan, so he'll probably have a Kings jersey on, but I'm not a fan of Sydney, so I won't be having a Sydney jersey on. So maybe I might get a Jackjumpers jersey and wear that for the night. So
I bet you would.
I might have to get a number 6 jersey, right? Yep. All right. So just wanted to really thank everyone for tuning in. Big shout out from the Throwback Hoops podcast, and see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.